and it was just like, you know, it was surreal how I could meet somebody else from the old school from Cleveland that's to pave the way, you know.
Yeah, I got a chance.
All the way in Georgia.
We in Georgia. Then we came here. You went to Alaska.
Right.
I went back to Atlanta then and moved back here. But,
right.
You know, over the years and different things, and that's why I said it's been me watching your sister from the background.
Yes.
And knowing who she was in the background singing with Jeanette Monet. Janelle Monet.
Janelle. Yeah, you're right.
Janelle, I can't pronounce her name. But no, it's just been it's a big world, but it's a very small world.
Very small world.
Because if you in entertainment or you come around or come close to it, at some point in time it goes full circle.
Yeah.
However you look at it, you'll come back to some of the same people that you met and started with. And I know that I've been blessed in my career that I started with the Temps.
Right.
Then after I started with the Temptations and I left Dennis and really came out on my own, I worked with Melba Moore for
Right. I remember you telling me that last time we was up here. Melba Moore had a show. And you said you was working with her.
I worked with Melba for 14 years. And I promoted the Black Circus for 5 years.
Right, you told me about that. Right. The Soul Circus.
Universal Circus.
Universal Circus, right.
I promoted that for 5 years. So I've been blessed.
Yeah.
In being able to get around, and now I'm just, you know, if I can help some kids or help give somebody some guidance.
Right.
And as to what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it in the entertainment field. Because another friend of mine, Dwight, he just started a school here in Cleveland, downtown, for entertainment management. It's management, production, promotion, trying to teach all aspects.
Right, training
them so that they come. Because the ones that came up with me, they were trained as entertainers. They were never trained as business people.
Right. So that's how a lot of them got taken advantage of, obviously.
Oh yeah, they don't make nowhere near the money that the young ones that's out here now. But they set the ground, they set the tempo.
A&R execs and all that type of stuff.
And I got a chance to meet most of the people that was at Motown and working with Dennis.
Right.
You know, so I always, regardless of what, I really have to take my career back to Dennis.
So you said what? You started what, 60, he got recognized with Temptations, what, 64 you said?
No, he went with Temptations in 68, 69. He replaced David Ruffin.
Okay. Now wait. Before, so all that was Motown stuff, which is Detroit.
Right.
It's Cleveland.
Right.
So you got what, about a 2-hour drive between here and
I used to leave here on Friday evening. You know, I get off work on Friday evening. I'd be in Detroit 8 o'clock Friday night.
LTV was still here. But that was a lot of guys work for the steel company.
Detroit made the cars. Cleveland made the parts.
Okay, that's how it went down.
Yeah. They always made the parts, and there's a lot of steel mills here, so the cities fed off of each other. And at that time, in the late 60s, early 70s, it was booming.
Right.
It was booming. I mean, that was before the cars, the Toyotas and all came over and took over.
Oh, okay.
You know, Ford, Chevrolet, and General Motors was the big, you know, big. They used to call them the big three in Detroit.
Oh, okay. Right.
You know, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. Yeah, that was the big three.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I mean, at that time, I guess I was in my early 20s. And, you know, everybody getting out partying in, but Detroit was breaking all the music. Motown was lighting the country on fire. You know, with all their music. So I had a chance to go over there, and I lived in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I first left Cleveland, I moved to Detroit. I stayed in Detroit for a couple of years.
What part? What part? Because I got some people on Southfield, 9 Mile. Out there
No, I was on Livernois off of Gratiot. I stayed on Mac. I stayed downtown on John R.
Okay.
Yeah, when I first went to Detroit, I was installing phones. I put in.
Oh, okay.
I'm putting in phones all downtown Detroit.
Now, did you get that training, some of that training you got from the military? Because I know you said you was in the military before.
Yeah, before
I really got with the contracts and all that. Because I remember you was telling me about you was real good with the contracts. That's what really set you apart from everybody that dealt with you and you in the group.
When I was in the military, when I got out of the military, I came home. I came home in 65, 66.
And that was not Iraq.
Vietnam.
Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Vietnam. Okay.
But I didn't go to Vietnam. I got lucky. I went to Korea.
Okay.
When Vietnam was hot, I was in Korea.
Okay.
Yeah, Korea saved me from Vietnam.
I heard that.
Yeah, and I ain't mad at nobody.
I ain't mad at nobody. You did your time. You did your time.
I came back and then I started doing construction work because my father and we grew up doing construction. And I studied construction and everything, and then I went to work with the Army Corps Engineers.
Army Corps Engineers, right. They were popular in Alaska too.
So I was doing, I was handling, big projects. I did road projects. I did beaches. And when I did that, that's when, I was still, me and Dennis was still, every weekend I was still going up to see my cousin because he was lighting up Detroit. His Motown was lighting up. He was doing like your sister. You go in the nightclub, but Dennis was in there after 9 o'clock. You couldn't get a seat.
Right. But unless you was family.
Yeah, unless you was family. I played on that.
Right.
I used that to the best of my ability.
Right.
That's why I said I used to leave Cleveland Friday evening. I'd be in Detroit. I'd be back in Cleveland Sunday night.
Right. Okay.
Because it was a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
But I had went. Me and Dennis had this thing that he used to always tell me, man, when I hit it, you going with me.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I was here in Cleveland, and that's when Motown first moved to Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
They were in Detroit, but they moved the whole company to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And Dennis had moved to Los Angeles. He called me and told me, man, come out and stay with me a little while, you know. So I went to L.A. And I just went out there to kick it and be Army, because that's why I say I was working with the Army Corps Engineers.
Right. So what was y'all at in L.A.? What part of L.A.? You know, L.A. is big.
Dennis, we was on Rodeo Drive, no, we was Rodeo Drive, and Dennis had a place, Rodeo Drive, and Dennis had a spot. Yes,
they had black folks over there.
He was a Temptation then. He was a full-fledged Temptation. I mean, he was in his element. And when I went there, every day I used to meet somebody new at Motown.
Now that was what, 60?
No, when I went there it was 72.
72. Okay.
That was about 72.
So they moved the company from Detroit
to
LA around 70 something.
And
I was born in 72. So
no, but I
wasn't even thought of back then.
Well, and I was, I went out on a vacation, really on a trip.
Oh, okay. From the military.
No, with Dennis. We had planned that we was just he was gonna show me LA. He wanted to show me California and show me LA. So I went out there with him. And when I got out there, he was going through some contractual things. And one day he gave me a contract. And I was just reading it, and I showed him where I thought it was a clause in it. And I guess he went back to the other guys and told them, and everybody was, talking anyway. my 2-week visit really turned into 6 weeks.
Huh.
So when I got ready to leave, all the guys took me to dinner. We went to dinner, and we sat down, and they asked me if I wanted to go with them.
Huh.
And I was like, you know, it's like something out of a fairy tale land, you know.
Yeah.
But they, you know, I guess what they saw in me was I didn't know the business. I was green to everything, so they could groom me like they wanted to groom me. Plus, me being family with Dennis, he didn't have no family really around him.
Right.
You know.
So he trusted you.
Yeah.
He knew you had his best interest at heart.
Yeah. That was my whole, you know.
So, do me a favor. You see the little pause button, the 2 buttons?
Okay, we got our cameraman rolling.
Right. So, what you was telling me, you had went out to LA around that time, 72, 73, and you was sitting with Dennis and them, and the Temptations, whatever, and they asked you to look at one of their contracts.
Now Dennis did. It was, you know,
it was Dennis personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just something, you know. He wasn't thinking about anything about me looking at it.
Right.
And nor was I thinking anything about looking at it.
But it was just because
it was just fate.
You know, he said, "Hey, just take this out for me," because he knew you was familiar with it.
Yeah, because I was interpreting contracts for the government then.
Okay, all right.
So I understood contracts and I understood the structure of the contract.
Right.
So, you know, after that, we started, you know, I came home, then I went back out. They started putting some things together. I went out with them a few times, and then maybe not long after that, things kind of started falling apart. With Dennis and the Temps and different things. So I left Los Angeles. I came back to Cleveland. And we sent for Dennis. Dennis came back to Cleveland after I did and stayed.
Okay.
Dennis stayed here for a year, close to 2 years.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people didn't know that Dennis was living here in Cleveland then.
Even when the Temps was still popular.
They was popular, but Dennis wasn't with them because they had started going through these different little breakups and all.
Oh, okay.
You know, musical things, you don't know what's behind them, or some of it you know what's behind it, but he was trying to get his release from Motown. Okay, and at that time, like Teddy Pendergrass had just started moving up. You know, we thought we had a shot with Dennis coming out, you know, as a single artist.
Right.
But we never really got it together. And some of it, you know, I'd say, you know, his fault, my fault. A lot of it was my fault because I didn't know nothing. I mean, in all reality, I didn't know who I had. You know, I didn't really know what to do with it. And then while Dennis was here, he contacted David Ruffin.
Right.
David Ruffin used to come over and see us all the time. Then Eddie Kendricks.
Right.
Came up from Birmingham.
Yeah.
So all of them.
He was in Detroit, right? Did he live in Detroit? Did he live here?
David lived in Detroit. Eddie really lived in Birmingham.
Birmingham, Alabama?
Eddie always lived in Birmingham, Alabama. After the Temps got big, Eddie moved back to Birmingham.
Okay.
Birmingham adopted Eddie. If you go to Birmingham right now, down on 16th Street, they have Eddie Kendricks Park. The city with the statues of all the lead singers of the Temptations. They got, the park is dedicated to Eddie.
Oh, okay.
And Dennis and all of them that was born, because Dennis was born in Birmingham too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Paul Williams. So it was a few of them from Birmingham that was in that group.
Okay.
You know, so after they started, Dennis, David, and Eddie started getting together. That's when the Temptation reunion started coming about.
Right. We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when we went to Philadelphia, started all that, then came back, They had they put the reunion thing together. That worked out for a while. Well, I'm trying to think before that worked out. Did we get? Yeah, we had went out on tour because I took Dennis out when he had Don't Look Any Further. When Don't Look Any Further first hit.
Oh, okay.
I know we did 33 dates one time.
Wow.
We was rolling at one point.
Now, question. The Chitlin Circuit. I know that they kind of hear about the Chitlin Circuit here and there. Was that still viable at that time? Or
yeah.
Was it kind of done away with and they was kind of...
No, The Chitlin Circuit's always been there and still is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
really?
mean, yeah, because it's a second outlet, and it's an outlet for different. We call it the Chitlin Circuit, but it's a second outlet for venues that aren't so big, and that they still drawing people. Right. I mean, if you looked at Columbus, in one sense, it would have been considered the Chitlin Circuit.
Okay. Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, because you ain't got no mass of people.
Right.
But you could get 2,000-3,000. You know,
that's still money.
A lot of money. You know,
right.
You get that many people. So, and then you had to know, if you have your things put in order, and you had your business thing put in order, everything just work itself on out. That's why I said I started with Dennis. I think I ended up learning different parts of the business from Melville, because with Dennis we was just going to shows and straight out. With Melville was a lot of community projects.
Oh, okay, Melville Moore.
Melville Moore was a lot of community projects.
Okay. Now I know you mentioned Dennis and what's the other independent artist that came out around that time? Teddy Pendergrass. And you had mentioned, I remember one time we was talking, and you said they had it was a party. It was a story that you had told me. It was a party.
We went to after hours joint.
Teddy Pendergrass
and Eddie Levert.
And Eddie Levert.
And I saw all three of them sing.
Was Eddie Kendricks there at the party too? Or?
No. But I just seen, we had just went out when we went to.
No, was y'all in L.A.?
No, we was in Philadelphia.
77?
We was in Philadelphia. That was when they was trying to put the reunion together. And we went out and we went to this, it's like a, high class after hour place.
Right. It was in Philadelphia?
Yeah, this was in Philadelphia.
What year was this? Around 77 maybe? 75?
Yeah, it had to be... Yeah, or 80, close to 80.
Close to 80, okay.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit further down.
Yeah, it was down the road. And I can't remember the exact year that they put together. Problem. But I can find out the dates. But we went to the South Hour joint, like singers especially, them three. Because none of the three of them really needs a microphone.
Right.
I mean, I could take any of them three and say, okay, just, just sing. They'll blow a band away. They don't need no microphone and speakers and all. They'll ride right with them.
Right.
Because I said that was one of the best nights. Things like that you would never get a chance to see because nobody paid for that show.
Right. Now, was this after hours in Philly?
Yeah, it was at that
after hours spot? Was it like a private little after hours spot? Yeah. Was it an actual club?
It was.
Somebody had some money.
It was a private after hours. It was like a club, but it was after hours joint.
Was one of us or was
no, it was high class black folks.
Okay. Back in Philly. Right.
Yeah, in Philly, and I mean, they was jamming in there.
Yeah.
So when one started, and I've seen this happen a few times, one to pick up a microphone.
They try to show each other up.
Or show each other what they can do, because it's hard for me to say when I look at it, especially from an artist's point of view. You got different artists with all three of them have three different styles.
Right. Correct.
So how can you can't compare, say one knows better, because this one knows how to do what they know how to do.
Right.
This one know how to do what they know how to do. So the whole thing coming together, I've always thought that was a little bit unfair. To, you know, and I say that, and in reality, I'm partial.
Right.
I'm partial to Dennis because I watched him from a kid.
It's your family. It's your brother.
So I feel like he could go with any of them.
Right.
And you know, and then when you look at it, how many times has Dennis been imitated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a valid fact.
You know, how many of them really take the time to go after Dennis? Mm-hmm. You know, in that vein, I didn't know too many of them. You know, he can make you respect him with his voice.
I heard that. So it was Dennis Edwards, Teddy Pendergrass, and who else?
And Gerald Levert. No, Eddie Levert.
Eddie, his daddy.
Yeah.
And y'all was in Philly.
Right.
And what happened? What went down there?
No, it was just like
regular party.
Yeah, like if me and you got together, we sit up here talking.
You're right.
Okay. And then, you know, your natural trait, you sitting by a band and this will say, okay, I'm going to walk up here on the stage and take the microphone.
Right.
And just do something for these folks.
Say, woo,
yeah. Yeah. So one did it, then the other one did it, then the other one did it. The next thing you know, they all going at it. You know. And that's why I said I've seen Eddie Kendricks do it with different people. I've seen that happen in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, a friend of mine got up on the stage and damn near challenged Eddie. Eddie showed him why Eddie was Eddie.
Right. In like, Atlanta.
Like, y'all, you really don't want none of this.
Right.
You know, you just be thinking, but artists and say they will do that, you know, and then it's part of it. I mean,
was women passing out when they still taking off their underwear and stuff like they do at the concerts?
Well, I've been around enough of that and watching that to say that that's real.
That's real.
Yeah, that's real.
They really throw their underwear on the stage?
Yeah, they be throwing them back to some of them. I know when they start. It used to tickle me when they say, "Oh no, we got some bloomers up here."
They call it bloomers.
Yeah, when they get too big, they say, "Don't throw these up on the stage."
There's some lace in the situation.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just it all being fun, but I mean, I have actually seen it.
Yeah,
you know, and
it was white women just was black women because I know back then in the 70s, 80s, or whatever. It was kind of
after the shows was over. Mm-hmm. You don't know how many women you was gonna see.
Really?
I mean, from outside the dressing rooms to the parking lot. I went in one place. I'm not gonna say where it was, but we went in a hotel.
Was you in California?
I don't think I was in Philadelphia.
You was in Philadelphia, okay.
And I know a girl came in the room, and I think the only thing she had on was a raincoat.
Okay.
Wasn't the first time I've seen this happen.
What was her nationality? Was your sister?
Yeah, she was sister.
Okay.
She's sister. All she had on was a raincoat. Mm-hmm. So that's Otis. We sitting here talking about him.
Right.
You know, but no, I got a chance to see some things. I learned some things, but I also think I took myself out of that picture because I was having problems with myself or with my family.
Right.
Most of the people that was on the road in the business at the time either been divorced or going through things, and I really kind of wanted to be around my kids. I still had that feeling in me somewhere, you know, that maybe I wasn't maybe I was 99% committed, not 100% committed.
Right.
You know, I liked the road, but I didn't like the road. It could change you, it could break you. And I was just having some issues with some things that, you know, I backed myself on off the road.
Understood.
You know, right. And I wanted to come home. I wanted to raise my sons.
Yeah.
You know, I really.
It's more important. You saw the importance of it.
And I wanted to, you know, really raise my kids. I wanted to be around my kids.
Right.
You know, regardless of what role I wanted to be around him. Now, I'm happy. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I lost William. I had him for 39 years. Mm-hmm. You know, he was 39. I put one through college. I've got another one. I just moved her to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And Darren is doing good in real estate. So I'm proud of, for whatever for whatever I did and whatever I didn't do, I'm proud of it.
Right.
And I know I may not have $1 million.
Right.
But I had $1 million worth of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been there, done that.
Understood, man.
I've been blessed in my own right.
Man, it's like I know you was telling me, during that time when they had their success, and it's prevalent, amongst tabloids, whatever. That obviously with some of their success, they had access to. Obviously they always put Eddie Kendricks in a bad light, and I don't know him personally, so I can't say that he wasn't that person that they try to portray. But they try to portray that he was a drug addict and he was on cocaine all the time, and everybody had access to cocaine.
Drugs were a very, very big deal. Mm. Okay, and
during the 70s?
Oh, hell yeah.
During the time, or was it?
During the 70s and the time and the nature of the business.
Okay.
I will say that out of most of the people that I knew that was in the business were on drugs. Mm.
Do you think that was projected upon them from the big, industry?
Yeah.
That was like, hey, you doing this and that, why don't you take some of this? So they kind of control them to a degree, or was it just that it was just available and it was just fun to do?
It was, I've never been, how can I say it? I haven't been addicted to cocaine.
Right.
I will say I'm addicted to weed. I've been smoking that.
But it helped the pain go away. So
yeah, no, but I mean, it was almost like a part of the business. Mm-hmm. Radio play, airplay, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Half the time it was paid for with cocaine.
Wow.
Really
back in the day.
Oh yeah, I mean that's when they started breaking the laws and stuff down, but. That was the real. When Richard Pryor was freebasing. It was just another form of crack. They doing the same damn thing, but these folks can afford. Where a poor person couldn't have had to get out and hustle up $200-300. These got to get out and hustle up $2,000-3,000.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, cocaine had a lot to do with me leaving the road. It had a lot to do with what was going on in our camp. Yeah, I mean, Eddie, I've always respected. I'm not gonna put Eddie in that light. I've watched the Temptation story. To me, they made David be. A lot of them had problems, and I know in talking to David one night, and in the short period of time I was with him, I got a chance to know him a little bit. And he used to talk to me a lot when we were by ourselves. And I asked him, about the coke and everything. And I remember he told me that, he said, man, I sang in front of 5,000 and 10,000 people. He said, I don't know none of them.
Right?
But when they done spent their money, they want a good show out of me. They look at, I got to perform. So I have to do what I got to do.
Right.
To get prepared to do what I need to do to project to them.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah,
everybody can't do that. It don't matter if and some people call it a crutch or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to perform.
Yeah, and even like
they spend their money for that.
With Dennis. And I know what Dennis was and what Dennis was doing. And that's why I said it's my family. But I can tell you, I can count the times I done seen it around Dennis. But I know that's where Dennis was at. But he started off really, from the beginning, protecting me from that.
Oh, okay.
he'd have a fit if he saw me with anything outside of a joint. I mean, it was like, you know, he'd have a fit about that.
Right.
You know, and I'll be like, okay, you know.
Right.
But like he said, one in the family is enough.
Yeah.
You know, so I always appreciated that.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that he always really looked out for me, you know, on that behalf. So, yeah, I couldn't say, but in the 70s, drugs was a big thing in music, in the music game. And, you know, a lot of people will turn their head and say it then, but I'm telling you, everything, or most things is paid for with cocaine all the way down the line. So it wasn't like nothing new. And every so often you have these epidemics come along where, you know, at one time I was saying, I was counting the people that didn't. You know, it wasn't the people that did. It was the people that didn't.
Right.
You know, and, you know, you got some people, you know, that I believe are totally straight and have always been straight.
Right, right.
You know, and then you got some that really just can't handle it. You know, but it's really just a mirror of society.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
It's the same thing with everything else out here. You find some people that can, you know, can do some things, and then on the other side, you know, I just, but that, like I said, I feel like I've been blessed.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
So,
man, you've blessed a lot of other folks, man.
Yeah,
for real.
And I'll be 72 next month.
Wow.
I'll be 72 in April. So I think, you know, God left me here for a reason.
Yeah.
He gave me a chance to see some things that, you know, I've been across this country I don't know how many times.
Yeah, yeah. And you still go across this country. You still just came back from North Carolina. You know? And you still pushing, man.
So as soon as my leg get well, I'm gonna be pushing some more.
Right.
I got me some new fishing rods. I got fishing rods and everything. I left them down there.
Oh, okay, okay.
I left them. I got some more in my daughter's house. I got fishing rods, and I got you know, I'm all I want to do now is just live, enjoy myself, spend time. I'm lucky I got 14 grandkids.
Okay.
I got 14 of them. My son William had 5. So I got 4. He had 4 boys and a girl. So I inherited all of them.
Right, right, right.
You know, and I've been able to watch them all grow up and, you know, and do things. So I've been.
That's great.
You know,
like I said,
and people still look out for me.
Yeah, you know I'm gonna look out for you regardless, man. Like I said, man,
it was a blessing. I mean, in the time that we met where we was at, it was just a blessing to meet somebody that was down to earth, real, and had been somewhere outside of a cow town. Right. You know, but
that's what's up.
You know, but I liked Columbus had his thing. Then when I went to Atlanta, and sometimes it's just time to move on.
Yeah, well, you know that because I
move on. I wish the best for you though, man.
Yeah.
I hope that everything that you're trying to do, you put together. And I'd really like to work on on a project one day. And put your sister in the spot, you know.
Yeah.
Put her on the right stage.
She's doing real well, man. She's doing real well.
Well, she's got everything on her own. She on her own now, or is she still working?
She's still with Janelle, but she's doing her own thing.
Oh, okay.
Everything she does, she sets it up herself. All her shows and all the commercials.
Ain't no conflict.
No, ain't no conflict.
No.
She works a job. She teaches. You know, so she's definitely doing her thing. You know.
Well, that is good.
That.
No, that's real good. So you done got my whole life. I done wrapped my life up.
Yeah. Well, hey, as always, man, it's always a blessing seeing you. And
I'm glad y'all stopped by tonight, though.
Yeah, man. I just had to take a little time to talk to you, and you know, and put some of this information out there so people will understand where we've been and where we're trying to go. You know, because at the end of the day, we don't really know where we're going unless we know where we've been.
And tomorrow's not promised to nobody.
That's right.
And a young man told me once, said, whatever it is you got on your mind, don't take it to your grave.
Right on. Well, I'm going to end it at this.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and set it off.